one thing you'll hear from people that do hit Hall of Fame, they don't have a good week and then decide to take the next week off. They put in the hours week in, week out, just knowing that it's going to work out for them if they just continue to run their 30 appointments each and every week and do all the, income generating activities they're supposed to do between dialing and doing the appointments.
I'm like, what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? Live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death. So what's the dream of? What's the hope in? What's the doubt for? And live to no end. This is living. The life I've been given is a gift. If I'm a living, I'ma live it to death.
What's going on, everybody? My name's Jamie Chirio, and I'm sitting here with Miss Darlene Moore today for another episode of the Road to Hall of Fame training series. I'm excited. This podcast that we do, we talk about Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame is helping 400 families in a year here at Family First Life, and we talk to different Hall of Fame producers all around the country. We hear about their background, their mindset, some different tips for on the phone as well as in the home. We take Q&A from different agents all around the country, and I'm just excited to have Darlene here today. Darlene, I'd love if you could share with us a little bit of your background, kind of where you came from, how you found out about Family First Life, and just what this experience has been like for you so far.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on. I'm
Yeah, of
excited.
course.
I've been loving watching the series. So I started with Family First Life a little over a year ago. I just found Family First Life in 2020. My husband and I are restaurateurs, and 2020 was a hard year for the restaurant industry, as we all know, and we were forced to close. So I pivoted and looked for something new. Came across Family First Life. I went to convention, which was February of 2021, and started about a week later. So at that point, we really had no income coming into our household, so I had just had to really hit the ground running. And in retrospect, it was probably the best thing that happened to me, just because it really immersed me in everything FFL, and I just had to make it work. So it's been a great experience so far. I first heard about it, I think it was maybe online. First person I had contact with was Clay Sweet. We had very similar stories. He was a bartender, and I was still in the restaurant industry. So to see someone else that was very successful, able to help over 400 families in a calendar year, it really gave me the hope and motivation that I could do the same. So
I love it. Well, we're so happy to have you here, and that's such a cool story that you're able to find this just through unfortunate circumstances. You're able to find your way into a new career, and obviously it's worked out really well for you. So I remember about a year ago in April of last year, you came to an event in Charlotte, and that's where we met in person for the first time. But before that, we jumped onto live dials.
Yes.
So I remember it was your first dial day, and it's funny because you crush it on the phones now, but I remember that first dial day, and you were so nervous to dial the phone, just how much has changed. And so much of that really is, based around kind of your mindset on, leads, dialing the phone, having repetition, doing it over and over and over again. As a Hall of Fame producer, you've sat on hundreds of appointments. You've done tens of thousands of dials in the last year. So I'd love to just kind of start this with, Hall of Fame, 400 families, so many dials, so much rejection, so much success at the same time. But what do you think kind of the difference in mindset is between someone who's a Hall of Fame producer and somebody who maybe helps, 5, 10 families a month? What do you think that major difference in mindset is?
I think it's really a determination. Like, I don't just view it as like a job where I'm just trying to make a certain amount of money. I'm really genuinely trying to help families. And when you put them first and you really, you have that set of leads that you're working, you don't want to give up on those people. They did request the help. And, for me, I just go out there and I serve. So
I love it. So for you, I always talk to, I say this on every single Road to Hall of Fame podcast, and it probably sounds like a broken record, but, Mike Curry had a quote that he kind of gave me. He said, I don't think Hall of Fame is a skill set goal. I really think that it's more of a consistency goal. Can you put in the work for 52 weeks straight? So it's not something that you have to be incredibly skilled at. It's something you just have to be incredibly consistent at. So for you, when it comes to consistency, this is a business of ups and downs, in regards to, commissions, sales. There's weeks where you're up, there's weeks where you're down, there's weeks where emotionally it's a roller coaster, where, you just help 10 families in a week or a day, and there's days where you go 1 for 17. How do you really maintain a level attitude, and kind of what advice can you give to somebody who's looking at this, run at Hall of Fame, on how they can maintain a level attitude regardless of the results?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the more you're immersed with the different podcasts and listening to different people, you pick up on things. And I kept hearing, don't ride that roller coaster of emotions, and that, you don't want to be too high, you don't want to be too low. So everything I heard, I kind of just took it to heart and just went with that, just knowing that there are going to be hard days. And it just means, I think it was the line you had, that the field owes me. So that was just something that I led with, just knowing that, the numbers would work out if I just gave it time. And, if there's going to be hard times, there's also going to be really good times with it too. So,
Yeah. I mean, it goes both ways. Either the field owes you, or sometimes you owe the field. I mean,
Yep.
sometimes, you go out and you go, you know, you close 10 out of 11 appointments, and then there's other days where you go 1 for 17, and, that day you owed the field. And it's just, it's a high and a low, but it's just how can you maintain a level attitude throughout it all? I think that's really the most important thing. So what kind of disciplines would you say that you've had to put into place from a structure standpoint, a schedule standpoint? You're someone, you have kids.
I do.
You have a husband. So how do you balance this work, home, life, family, marriage balance when running such a high level schedule and helping so many families?
Well, for me, time blocking is one thing that I really live by. I kind of know where I'm going to be at all points during the week, so that way my kids know when I'm available to them. My husband knows when I'm on the phones, and I can't really spend time with him. But really, when it comes to scheduling, I do have a pretty firm schedule, just as far as making sure that I'm able to get my dials in, I'm able to run the appointments that I need. I also have another business, which is a catering business, so I really have to be very intentional and kind of time block not just the week, but months ahead of time, and know when I'm going to be out of the field, so I can make up for it before and after. So you have to have that level of discipline, otherwise everything would just kind of crumble.
So I mean, it's one thing to have that structure in place, but it's another thing to have those conversations with your family. What did those conversations look like early on? And I'm sure they're continuing to happen, because I know for me, I've got a wife, I've got an 8-month-old baby boy, and we talk about, have a conversation with your spouse, have a conversation with your kids, but it wasn't just one conversation. We have a conversation. We have a conversation every week, and it's not a bad conversation, but constantly having to paint the vision of where we're going. Constantly painting the vision of, hey, here's why we're working so hard. Because at a certain point, when you help hundreds of families in a year, you start to kind of ask, and your family starts to kind of ask, when's enough enough? What are we really building towards? Why are we building, why are we selling at such a high level? Why are we building this agency? What's really the light at the end of the tunnel? So what's kind of that conversation looked like for you and your family?
Well, I mean, it's different. I have a 7 and 11-year-old kids, so a daughter and a son, and then a husband. So with my husband, I've been very much supportive of his businesses in the past, so now it's kind of like he owes me. So he's been very supportive, just because I've done everything for 10 years to help him build his catering company. So now it's kind of my turn to, kind of lead. I see the vision. I see other people who have achieved what I want to achieve, and now he's just kind of following suit, because he's seen the potential. I worked really hard in the restaurant industry for 10 years, and really there's no fruits of labor there. It is very razor thin margins. So to finally put in that kind of work and see something from it, that's been very motivating for our family, And for my kids, I mean, I think it might sound terrible, but more of a reward system. They get to go to summer camp, or, if they want the newest Nerf gun, whatever it is. I mean, they're incentivized by, us spending time together and doing little small family trips that are maybe 2 or 3 days, or, something that they're looking forward to. So they kind of, have a little bit of motivation there. They see why I'm working for it. So
I love it. My wife and I, we have this new thing that we've been doing. We talk about, do you make time for your family, or do you take time for your family? And for me, recently, we started taking time for our family. So Sundays, we take time. Wednesday mornings, we drop off our son at grandma's house. We get 3 hours together to go out and work on our marriage. And then I'm pretty much running and working the rest of the week. So dial on Mondays, dial on Thursdays, out in the field all day Tuesday. Wednesday, we have our morning. I work from home and I recruit and do telesales. And then Thursday, I dial. And Friday, Saturday, I'm pretty much gone 8 a.m. to 8 p.m., sometimes later. Sunday, I'm home. So do you have any type of schedule like that? You talked about time blocking, where your family just kind of knows, hey, when it's family time, it's family time. When it's work time, it's work time.
Yeah, mine's pretty similar. And, having kids, and maybe there's a lot of moms out there and they're wondering how they can make this work for them with their schedules, having kids and their kids' schedules and activities and everything like that. one thing that we've done is with the time blocking, even their activities, like my son's in Boy Scouts, I make sure that's on Monday night after my dials are done. My daughter's in dance, we decided of all the days we did it on Thursday, so that way my dials were done. So very intentional with when we're doing things, trying to make sure that my dial days aren't interrupted. The run days, I really have a support system with my husband and my in-laws to kind of help because they know that I'm really not going to be present those days. But we have dinner together Monday night, Thursday night because we're home. Sunday, we go to church and we spend the day together. I'd say half the day's doing laundry, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do. They know exactly when I'm going to be present for them and when I'm going to be working. And it's a bonus if I do get home early. But they kind of know what to expect each week.
Absolutely. Well, that's cool. Let's kind of transition here. So let's move into the phones. So
Okay.
Hall of Fame producer, dialing the phone is probably it is on the road to Hall of Fame. You can't get to Hall of Fame without starting to love the phones. I think one of the biggest epidemics in the entire insurance business is people who wake up on dial day and say, I hate dial day. Even if you do hate dial day, Hall of Fame producers lie to themselves and they learn that they love dial day. So for you, what's kind of your mindset going into dial day? What are some things, some disciplines that you do to kind of get yourself ready for a dial day? And then we can kind of move into some more psychology behind the phones.
Yeah. So when it comes to dial day, I mean, you have to be prepared. You can't just show up, later than 8 o'clock because you're already at a disadvantage from missing that first hour that people are on their way to work and you're going to catch more people. Same thing with leads. You have to be prepared. You have to have your leads loaded. You have to have them in there. You don't want to wait till the night before to find out that there's nothing in your area, so you have nothing to dial the next day. So it's all in the preparation of it. I definitely had nerves in the beginning when it came to the phones, but hearing it over and over and over again, it's doing the reps, putting in the time, doing the reps, and then it just comes more natural to you. And now it's kind of like a game. The first few are a little bit, a little bit nerve-wracking, but then once you get to 5, 6, you're like, how many can I get? You get to 15, you're like, oh, it's early, maybe I can get some more in. So I kind of make it more of a game. Like, I'm not worried about the no's, I'm just trying to get to the yeses. I'm trying to get to the people that really want my help. So I think it's really important just to have the proper preparation ahead of time when it comes to having your leads ready, being on the phone at the right time, and then being surrounded with other people that are doing it too. Because this is the very first time, believe it or not, I've been in office, so I've not really been around anyone FFL. So the only time I've done it has really been on live dial, and you were huge in helping me get started because I was like, okay, if I can sound halfway like Jamie, I'll be okay. But it was very structured, and that was my community of people to listen to and get better with. So
Sure. I mean, that resonates with me deep just because I also work from home. I live on a farm in Oregon, and my closest office is very far away. So for me, live dials became that community, and I think it's so important from an accountability perspective, whether you can get into an office in person and actually dial and be around people, or if you can't get into an office, you can be on live dials, because dialing alone sucks. Like it's a lonely thing to do, to dial alone. But when you see there's other people on there that are also getting told no, that are also getting rejection, and they're also booking appointments, you say, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. And then when you can hear from somebody, you can say, hey, that's a really good line that they just had right there to overcome that objection. What if I try that? What if I implement that? And then next time that I get that objection, I overcome it. So for you, just what's been the power of live dials for you? Has it been the accountability side of things? Has it been getting live feedback when you were a new agent? What's been the the thing that you kind of gained the most out of live dials, and why do you think that a new agent should join live dials?
Right. So in the beginning for me, it was really just a matter of trying to get better, trying to listen to people that knew what they were saying and knew what they were doing. So that was crucial, just to try to, figure this thing out, because, I had the, I guess, generic phone script, and then, maybe sometimes it doesn't sound like how you would say things, but then when you hear so many other producers saying it their way, you pick up, you steal this line and that line, and all of a sudden you have your own phone script and it sounds like you. So it's crucial in the beginning to either get to an office or be on live dial, just to be surrounded by others. As far as the accountability, that kind of came later, like when, I just showed up every Monday, every Thursday, and it was like, okay, where's Darlene? She should be on,
Yeah.
like Sheila Day. I mean, she's just on there like clockwork as well. So, yeah, I would say that just having that structure, the accountability was a big part of like, it was like clocking into work. I knew this is my job. I'm going to clock in. I'm going to stay on there until I get it done. So,
What were like some light bulb moments that happened for you on Live Dials where you're like, okay, I implemented this that I heard from somebody else, or there was a point in time where someone gave me feedback and I changed this about my phone script? Like, do you have any of those light bulb moments where like you're just everything changed when it came to dialing the phones?
I think it all came gradually. I mean, I think a lot of it is counterintuitive. Like, I thought I needed to be chipper, I needed to be happy, I needed to be me. And really, when it came to it, that's not how we sound on the phone. We're going to sound like a telemarketer. So that was big for me in the beginning. So I had to really, take a step back, talk a little bit lower. But then just like a little bit of lines that people would say, like I would hear some people that would be like, okay, well, when I get to the door, tell your wife to put the shotgun away. And at first I was like, I can't say that. And then I did, and people would laugh, I'd make them laugh. And not to say I use that line every time, but you just pick up on things and you know what sounds natural to you and what doesn't. And at this point, it doesn't feel like a struggle on the phone because I'm not just going by this script I was given. I'm using what I've heard other people that work. So
Yeah. So in regards to the phones, is there anything that you do when someone's trying to rush you off the phone? Do you do any quick set appointments?
I do. I mean, obviously, you want to try to spend more time on the phone whenever possible, just so you can kind of tie it down more. But I do quick sets. I do try to lock that in with a little bit more information, like a text. But the text is not coming from me, so if they try to cancel, it's not going to me. It's like more of an appointment reminder.
Sure. And for anybody who has somebody that's trying to rush them off the phone, just a quick golden nugget is perfect. I'll have you off the phone in 30 seconds.
Yep, I use that one for
If
me.
you say, perfect, I'll have you off the phone in 30 seconds. I've been on the phone for 6 more minutes, many, many times. Because it's just, oh, okay, they'll have me off the phone in 30 seconds. Now ask a question. You ask a question, you're back in control. What do you do to tie it down to avoid no-shows? Because we all get no-shows. It's
Right.
going to happen to all of us. But what do you do to try to avoid a no-show?
Well, I mean, it's in the preparation. You want to clear the schedule first. If they're retired, we want to make sure, okay, there's no doctor's appointments, anything that you can think of that you wouldn't be there at that time. You want them to confirm that there's nothing, barring any emergencies, that would prevent them from being there. Now, things are still going to come up here and there where, they won't be there and you'll have to reschedule. But the more you can eliminate that in the front end on the phone with them, the better run days you're going to have because you're going to have more people home and you're going to be able to help more families. So really some key things I say is just trying to clear the schedule, making sure, okay, so do you need a little bit of time for dinner before or, are you definitely home barring with traffic? I'll just try to make sure that they will be there. There's no doctor's appointments, whatever it might be. And then just have them confirm it to me. I also have them tell me the time back, like as if I forgot. I'll be like, okay, so
What time do we have again?
what time? Yep.
Yeah,
Make
that's
sure
good.
they write it down. Make sure they repeat back. My license ID. So yeah, definitely getting them to pick up that pen and paper, and I'll see it on the kitchen table when I go over there.
All the time.
And all the time.
That's awesome. Okay. I love it. So now you're at the home. I think this is the part that for me was the most nerve-wracking. Dialing the phones was a discipline thing for me. Can I sit down in the chair? But I knew if I dialed the phone enough times, I'd get enough appointments. I knew that even if I wasn't good on the phones, what I lacked in skill, I could make up in numbers. But the in-home was a whole different thing for me. I remember I was super terrified to go into the home. Okay, I just booked 7 appointments. Now I have to actually go see these people in person. I spent so much time learning the phones that I didn't spend any time learning about what I was going to say in the home. So now, I'm scrambling, watching videos the night before, trying to make sure I have all my logins and links and quote tools, all my carrier stuff set up. And I'm like, well, what if I forget what to say in the home? So what I realized, and kind of a light bulb moment for me, is that you don't really have to have some fancy presentation. You really don't. You just need to memorize some very specific word tracks to set the table in the beginning of the appointment, and then ask questions and have a heart to serve people, and then learn a very specific word track to guide them to submit an application. And here's what we're going to do today, Darlene. Very, very simple. So could you walk us through, you knock, knock, you made it in the door, shoes on, shoes off. We're at the kitchen table. Can you walk us through what that open looks like and how you set the table to gain control, right up to the point where you're about to ask questions on the financial inventory?
Yeah, so, the in-home for me, I think I wasn't as scared. I was more scared of the phones for whatever reason. But the in-home, I knew, I think someone had told me, and I can't remember who, that the clients don't know what you're going to say. They didn't get some, some guidebook of what you're supposed to go through. So if you stumble a little bit, they're not going to know. So I really did just put people first. I just made sure that I was listening to them. I found that, it wasn't so much what you said, but the way you made them feel, that you were really actively listening and you're trying to pay attention to what they truly need to serve them. But as far as like my in-home, I mean, I'm very friendly. I say, hey, I'm Darlene. I'm here for an appointment. Never get to the couch. Always get to a table whenever possible. Now, granted, I've ridden business everywhere on front porches, garbage cans in my car. Like, if there's nothing there.
Back of a pickup truck, whatever you can do.
Yeah, whatever you have to.
Yeah.
But if there's a table, get to the table.
I think I wrote one the other day. I know I wrote one the other day sitting on a milk crate looking out at someone's backyard. So, yeah, whatever you can do.
And whatever you can do.
The kitchen table is the best way to gain control. When you can get someone to the kitchen table, and you and I were sitting across from each other right now, but this would not be my ideal scenario to sit at the kitchen table. I would like to be,
across.
Either corner to you or at the same side of the table, because right now we're across the table from each other. It's almost like there's a line in the sand, and I'm on this side and you're on that side. Whereas if I sit on the corner at the head of the table and you sit next to me, we're on the same side here, and it's like I can almost like put my arm around you and bring you in. Hey, here's what we're gonna do today.
Yeah, I do that too.
This is our goal versus me versus you.
Yeah, it's like a nonverbal kind of cue that I'm on your side and we're gonna work on this together. I've definitely picked up on that. But yeah, I make sure that I get to the table, make sure the TV's off, there's no loud background noise. I don't want them distracted because it's not going to be as impactful what we're going over. And it is important what we're going over. So I get to the table. First thing I do, I have my state license. I want them to feel comfortable. I want them to feel that there's some credibility behind who I am, what I do. So I show them that. I tell them I'm, one of the underwriters here in the county, live here locally, which, people love. If you are running in person and you're local, they like knowing that they have, someone that's in the neighborhood. They have someone they can call and trust and rely on. Kind of break the ice a little bit. If I am running in home, and in my home county, there's typically some connection, family connection or, where we live, whatever it is. So I feel like I get them a little bit comfortable first. And then not too long. In the beginning, I'd probably spend about an hour and a half in home, and now it's like 45 minutes. So I realized we were talking way too much about everything and anything except for insurance. But I'll really get down to it. What was it that prompted you to fill out this form? I want to know their why. If I can't get past their why, there's no point in me going through the financial inventory, because then I'm just a quote person.
Well, let's do a quick role play. So you're sitting across from me, single guy, and I filled out a final expense mailer. So let's just go through it, ask me my why, and we'll start from there, go right up to the financial inventory.
Okay, perfect. So Jamie, my name's Darlene. I'm one of the local field underwriters here. This is my state license. I told you to bring it, so if you want to take a picture of it, you're more than welcome to.
Okay.
Then I wait. I'm going to see if you're going to take a picture of it or not.
Okay, got it.
You got it? Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure you have that so you can look me up if you wanted to. But the reason I'm here, I'm one of the local field underwriters. You had filled out one of these requests for the state-regulated insurance programs. So my job's pretty simple. They send me out to go over the information with you to try to find some coverage that's going to work for your family. So can you tell me what you were thinking about when you took the time to fill this out?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure that nobody had to worry about anything when I was gone.
Okay. When you say nobody, do you have children or parents, or who would be taking care of those?
My son.
Okay, your son. How old is he? Is he in the home or?
Yeah, he's in his 30s.
Okay. All right. So he's grown then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. And does he live here in town?
No, he's out of state.
Okay, gotcha. I'm really trying to paint the picture so that way I know, do they have to travel, or are they down the street? Do they have dependents, that kind of thing. Okay, so he's in his 30s. He lives out of town. Do you have any kind of coverage in place currently?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay, got it. So what has you thinking about it? I mean, do you just lose coverage through work? Have you lost someone recently?
A little bit of both. I'm about to retire, and I know that I'm going to lose my work coverage. And,
okay.
Just with everything going on in the world, I feel like I should have something.
Yeah, I hear that quite a bit. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's smart to be looking at it before you retire. For one, it just gets more expensive as we wait, and we don't know what's going to happen health-wise, so we're better to lock something in now while we're able to. So really what I do, that's really good to know that, you do want to put some protection in place so your son's not going to be burdened, and also take care of it now before, anything could happen with that job or before you do retire. So what I do is I work with all the insurance carriers. I don't work for one of them. I work for all of them. So Jamie, what that means for you is that we're going to work together between all these different carriers, depending on your health. Some will accept you, some might not. So we're going to go through a couple health questions. It's going to give me a good gauge of what I think is going to be the best fit. Now, these are state regulated, so it just means that the prices are fixed on them. Kind of like house prices, we're going to look around and we're going to just make sure that we put you in the best fit possible. I have access to all the carriers, so that'll be my job to do the shopping for you. So really, what we're going to do today, I want to make sure that the state wants me to make sure that first and foremost, whatever we look at is affordable. It's something that we can sustain. I don't want you to get into retirement and realize it's something that you can't afford, and then that coverage is not there for your son. And what was his name?
Nehemiah.
Nehemiah. Okay, so we definitely want to make sure Nehemiah has something in place and that he's not going to be burdened financially because we took off more than we could chew.
Got it.
So we do want to make sure that it's going to be affordable for you. Do you want to also make sure that this is something that we qualify for? End of the day, I'm not the insurance carrier, so I don't get to decide who gets covered. I wish I could, but it's not my job to. And also, so we want to make sure it's affordable, want to make sure that we do qualify for the coverage, and that it makes sense for your family. There's a lot of different plans out there, so I want to make sure you fully understand what we're looking at, how it's going to protect Jeremiah?
Nehemiah.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
So Nehemiah. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go through a couple quick health questions and then just real quick through financial, just make sure that we find the best fit. How this works is once we put together those options, whichever one we feel makes the most sense, we're going to submit that to the carrier and see what they come back with. Sometimes we're lucky, we're approved in home, which is great news. We've got immediate coverage. Other times it's going to go to underwriting, take a while, but I'm your person, so don't worry. We'll find something, even if it's not the first carrier we look at. So what they're going to look at, I think I told you on the phone, there's no blood, no physical, anything like that. So everyone has a MIB report. It's tied to your social. It's going to be your prescription history, hospitalizations, surgeries, that kind of thing. You have one, I have one. So that's what they're going to determine who they're going to cover. ID or security question, make sure you're you. And then last, just the method of payment, knowing that you do have a way to sustain this plan. They're not going to draft you till you're approved, but ultimately we want to be drafted because we do want that coverage in place, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So let's get started.
Perfect.
Yep.
So, I mean, I love that because it's just, hey, here's who I am. Here's why you fill this out. Here's what we do. Here's how it's going to happen. This is the process. This is what we're going to need from you. Is that process okay?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like if somebody says yes to agreeing to that process, that's like a trial close. So if they've said yes that they filled out the card, they've said yes to letting you come over, they've now said yes to, they've told you why they filled it out. They've now said, yes, that process makes sense. You've now gotten 4 yeses out of them. So why are you not getting a yes at the end unless we do something to either make it too expensive for them, make it something they don't understand, or they just don't like us as a person. So our job really is just to facilitate that order. So using the financial inventory, let's kind of jump into that. How do you use the financial inventory to paint the picture for the client back to them? You mentioned, in the scenario of the role play that we were doing, son lives out of state. Okay, that's something you probably would have dug a little bit deeper into.
Right.
You're going to dig into my income. You're going to dig into, my rent, my mortgage, etc. How do you dig into that, whether it's, a single person or, a married person, someone with a dependent child? How do you dig into the financial inventory to find the need before you show them options?
Well, yeah, I mean, you kind of want to touch on everything. I mean, sometimes I'll do appointments that are supposed to be for life insurance, but then we do realize that they have a substantial amount left on their mortgage, so I'm trying to go over the whole big picture with them of what that looks like. When there is a spouse, really painting that picture, with the Social Security, when they lose one, what is this going to look like? Are you going to be able to keep the home? Are you going to be able to pay that mortgage? Or if it's even for life, just knowing like, okay, well, without that income, this is going to give you income for X amount of time. Yeah. So really trying to paint that picture of what it's going to look like without Bob being there. So that way they can understand why it's so important that they have the amount of coverage that they're looking for and what it's going to do for their family.
I love it. Okay. I love the financial inventory because it allows me to, I feel like there's a doctor-patient relationship that's happening when I'm filling out the financial inventory. When I go into the doctor's office, what does he do? He asks me, what are the symptoms? I tell him what are the symptoms, and then he gives his prognosis, what he thinks that is going on with me, and then he prescribes a solution. So for me, I use that financial inventory and I have the doctor-patient relationship of, hey, I'm the life insurance professional. Hey, here's what I see. What I see is that if you pass away, your wife's going to lose $2,000 a month, and she's not going to be able to continue to afford this home. Or what I see is that you guys don't have much in savings right now, so we could probably agree that it'd be pretty tough for you to come up with 10 grand to take care of a burial, right? Okay, yeah. So you guys see why something like this would be valuable, correct? Yes. All right, so here's a couple options that could solve that problem. So we use the financial inventory to show them and create the problem.
Yes.
Hey, here on paper, I've now shown you, and I'm going to circle where I see the problems. I see here's the income loss, here's what the problem is. Now you guys see why the concept of what I'm about to show you makes sense, right? Yes. Another trial close. So now you've got them to say yes to why having a solution to the problem that you've identified makes sense. And now at this point, now it's, can I find a carrier, which we can, and a price that fits in their budget, and find something that works for them. So that's awesome. So any other tips, tricks, anything that you do to kind of cement the sale or anything like that?
I mean, I think I really just try to let them know that I'm their person. It's not this one time, I'm the underwriter, I'm coming out, you'll see me 45 minutes and you won't see me again. I'm making sure that, they have my phone number in their phone. I'm taking a picture with them, sending it later in the day, just like, so nice to meet you. I'm so glad we got, your son protected. Really trying to build more of a relationship there. So they feel like they can call me, trust me. I hear from a lot of past clients, that I've helped over the past year. And I feel like part of that is kind of building it up, that it's not just this one-time thing, that I'm going to be there for them. So
that's awesome. Well, hey, let's close this out. I ask the same question at the end of every single one of these podcasts. So this road to Hall of Fame, it's a long road. And, we talk about like putting the destination in the GPS and it spits out the directions. If I'm going to make it from point A to point B, there's going to be some times where you end up on the side of the road with a flat tire. There's going to be times where, your engine catches on fire. There's going to be times where you get off the path and have to get back on the path. For somebody who says, like, I'm going to make it to Hall of Fame, I'm going to make it to that destination no matter what, what's your last piece of advice for them?
the biggest thing is just going to be consistent. The one thing you'll hear from people that do hit Hall of Fame, they don't have a good week and then decide to take the next week off. They put in the hours week in, week out, just knowing that it's going to work out for them if they just continue to run their 30 appointments each and every week and do all the, income generating activities they're supposed to do between dialing and doing the appointments. But the biggest thing is just not taking a break, not, having a great week going to Disneyland and then, just deciding that you're not going to work when you're, when you should. So being very intentional with your time. I know for me personally, I ran the whole entire year, and if I did take time off, it was scheduled months in advance, and I knew I was going to run 18 appointments instead of 15 the week before, the week after, just to make up for that lost time. So really, it's a marathon. It's not a sprint, but you want to just be consistent all the way through.
I love it. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for coming in, Darlene. Well, guys, we'll see you next time.
Thank you.